Exposing 50 Tactics and Techniques of the Propagandist. Listen. Are you a propagandist? If you write or ploy nonfiction, consciously or not, intended to persuade, yes, by a broad definition, you almost certainly are. Here are 50 terms for, and definitions of, forms of propaganda, at least one of which such writers and persuaders will likely employ in a given piece of content. Propaganda, the word is from a New Latin term meaning propagating, synonymous in this connotation with publicizing, has been defined as communication intended to shape perceptions, manipulate cognition, and direct behavior. That's a broad definition. A narrower one would limit propaganda to willful, prejudicial manipulation of information, but it helps writers and readers understand that because almost any content can be considered propaganda, they must be alert to the subtext of almost any content they produce or consume. Here are 50 ploys of how propaganda is used. 1. Ad hominem, attacking opponents rather than opponents' ideas or principles. 2. Ad nauseam, repeating ideas relentlessly so that the audience becomes inured to them. 3. Appeal to authority, use of authority figures, or perceived authority figures such as celebrities, to support ideas. 4. Appeal to fear, exploitation of audience anxieties or concerns. 5. Appeal to prejudice, exploitation of an audience's desire to believe that it is virtuous or morally or otherwise superior. 6. Bandwagon, exploitation of an audience's desire to conform by encouraging adherence to or acceptance of idea that is supposedly garnering widespread or universal support. 7. Beautiful people, depiction of attractive famous people or happy people to associate success or happiness with adherence to an idea or cause or purchase of a product. 8. Black and white fallacy, presentation of only two alternatives, one of which is identified as undesirable. 9. Classical conditioning, association of an idea with another stimulus. 10. Cognitive dissonance, using a favorable stimulus to prompt acceptance of an unfavorable one, or producing an unfavorable association. 11. Common man, adoption of mannerisms and or communication of principles that suggest affinity with the average person. 12. Cult of personality, creation of an idealized persona, or exploitation of an existing one, as a spokesperson for an idea or a cause. 13. Demonizing the enemy, dehumanizing or otherwise denigrating opponents to sway opinion. 14. Diktat, mandating adherence to an idea or cause by presenting it as the only viable alternative. 15. Disinformation, creating false accounts or records, or altering or removing existing ones, to engender support for or opposition to an idea or cause. 16. Door in the face, seeking compliance with a request by initially requesting a greater commitment and then characterizing the desired outcome as a compromise or a minor inconvenience. 17. Euphoria, generating happiness or high morale by staging a celebration or other motivating event or offer. 18. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, disseminating false or negative information to undermine adherence to an undesirable belief or opinion. 19. Flag waving, appealing to nationalism or patriotism. 20. Foot in the door, manipulation by encouraging a small gift or sacrifice, which establishes a bond that can be exploited to extract more significant compliance. 21. Glittering generalities, applying emotionally appealing but vague and meaningless words to an idea or cause. 22. Half-truth, making a statement that is partly true or only part of the truth, or is otherwise deceptive. 23. Inevitable victory, assurance of uncommitted audience members and reassurance of committed audience members that an idea or cause will prevail. 24. Join the crowd, communication intended to persuade the audience to support an idea or cause because it is or will be the dominant paradigm. 25. Labeling or name-calling, using euphemistic or dysphemistic terms to encourage a positive or negative perception of a person, an idea, or a cause. 26. Latitudes of acceptance, introducing an extreme point of view to encourage acceptance of a more moderate stance, or establishing a barely moderate stance and gradually shifting to an extreme position. 27. The lie, false or distorted information that justifies an action or a belief and or encourages acceptance of it. 28. Love bombing, isolation of the target audience from general society within an insular group that devotes attention and affection to the target audience to encourage adherence to an idea or cause. 29. Managing the news, influencing news media by timing messages to one's advantage, reinterpreting controversial or unpopular actions or statements, also called spinning, or repeating insubstantial or inconsequential statements that ignore a problem, also called staying on message. 30. Milieu control, using peer or social pressure to engender adherence to an idea or cause, related to brainwashing and mind control. 31. Obfuscation, communication that is vague and ambiguous, intended to confuse the audience as it seeks to interpret the message, or to use incomprehensibility to exclude a wider audience. 32. Operant conditioning, indoctrination by presentation of attractive people expressing opinions or buying products. 33. Oversimplification, offering generalities in response to complex questions. 34. Pensée unique, French for single thought, repression of alternative viewpoints by simplistic arguments. 35. Quotes out of context, selective use of quotations to alter the speaker's or writer's intended meaning or statement of opinion. 36. Rationalization, use of generalities or euphemisms to justify actions or beliefs. 37. Red herring, use of irrelevant data or facts to fallaciously validate an argument. 38. Reductio ad Hitlerum, persuasion of an audience to change its opinion by identifying undesirable groups as adherents of the opinion, thus associating the audience with such groups. 39. Repetition, repeated use of a word, phrase, statement, or image to influence the audience. 40. Scapegoating, blaming a person or a group for a problem so that those responsible for it are assuaged of guilt and or to distract the audience from the problem itself and the need to fix it. 41. Selective truth, restrictive use of data or facts to sway opinion that might not be swayed if all the data or facts were given. 42. Sloganeering, use of brief, memorable phrases to encapsulate arguments or opinions on an emotional rather than a logical level. 43. Stereotyping, incitement of prejudice by reducing a target group, such as a segment of society or people adhering to a certain religion, to a set of undesirable traits. 44. Straw man, misrepresentation or distortion of an undesirable argument or opinion, or misidentifying an undesirable persona or an undesirable single person as representative of that belief, or oversimplifying the belief. 45. Testimonial, publicizing of a statement by an expert, authority figure, or celebrity in support of an idea, cause, or product in order to prompt the audience to identify with the person and support the idea or cause or buy the product. 46. Third party, use of a supposedly impartial person or group, such as a journalist or an expert, or a group falsely represented as a grassroots organization, to support an idea or cause or recommend a product. 47 Thought terminating cliché, use of a truism to stifle dissent or validate faulty logic. 48 Transfer, association of an entity's positive or negative qualities with another entity to suggest that the latter entity embodies those qualities. 49 Unstated assumption, implicit expression of an idea or cause by communication of related concepts without expressing the idea or cause. 50 Virtue words, expression of words with positive connotations to associate an idea or cause with the self-perceived values of the audience. There you have it. Keep your internal antennas up and alert. Be a chess player and recognize when you are being propagandized, or you can be a chess piece and be unconsciously persuaded to move by way of others' intent. Especially when you're on social media websites. And I'll leave you with these two quotes by one of the pioneers of modern propaganda, Edward L. Bernays. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. End of quote. And lastly, universal literacy was supposed to educate the common man to control his environment. Once he could read and write, he would have a mind fit to rule. So ran the democratic doctrine. But instead of a mind, universal literacy has given him rubber stamps inked with advertising slogans, with editorials, with published scientific data, with the trivialities of the tabloids and the platitudes of history, but quite innocent of original thought. Each man's rubber stamps are the duplicates of millions of others, so that when those millions are exposed to the same stimuli, all receive identical imprints. It may seem an exaggeration to say that the American public gets most of its ideas in this wholesale fashion. The mechanism by which ideas are disseminated on a large scale is propaganda, in the broad sense of an organized effort to spread a particular belief or doctrine. K.I.K, knowledge is king. Get into the know. Peace to the conscious minds, the righteous hearts, and those who want to see.